Today, I come to you as a young person, as a young woman, as a young black woman, to ask you to use us, use the young people of the United States of America to pave a road that will last forever.
Selma, Alabama is located in Dallas County. 17,000 of the county's residents are Negroes. However, only 1.7% of these are registered voters. The Negroes of Selma, Alabama want to vote.
We're willing to be beaten for democracy, and you misuse democracy in the street. You beat people bloody in order that they will not have the privilege to vote. You can turn your back now and you can keep the club in your hand, but you cannot beat down justice. And we will register to vote because as citizens of these United States, we have the right to do it.
Dr. King and I, we had been working together to get a civil rights bill passed. We went back and we met with President Johnson. And he said, well, I know you need voting rights, but we just had a civil rights bill passed. I just don't have the power to go back to Congress for another civil rights bill. I know it's needed, but I don't have the power. And he must have said, I don't have the power half a dozen times. When we left, I asked Dr. King, well, what are you gonna do? He said, we're gonna get the president some power.
Every American citizen must have an equal right to vote. What happened in Selma is part of a far larger movement which reaches into every section and state of America. Because it's not just Negroes, but really it's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice. And we shall overcome.
He ended his speech with, and we shall overcome. That's the only time I saw Martin Luther King shed a tear.
My grandfather called for her from the front room. Her name was Wilter. He's like, Wilter, come on. She didn't respond. Her nickname was Bill. And so then he yelled out, Bill, it's time to go. My grandmother said she still didn't say anything. So he came back to find out why she hadn't responded. And she was frozen. She was afraid to go. And I remember her squeezing my hand and the feel of that paper-thin skin and the fragile bones, but the grip that she had on my hand where she said that it wasn't that she didn't want to vote, she was afraid of it. She was afraid of the billy clubs and the hoses and the dogs, and she did not believe that this time would be any different. She didn't believe that the power of democracy was finally hers. And my grandfather told her that she had to get up, that her children had been in trouble trying to guarantee this right, and that she owed it to them, if not to herself, to get up and vote. And she said she was still terrified, she was still deeply afraid of this moment, but she was also ashamed of herself. She was ashamed that she didn't want to reach for this power. She got up, she finished getting dressed, and they went to vote. And as she squeezed my hand, she said, but Stacey, I've never missed another election. Running for governor was about changing what it meant to be a leader in Georgia. And there is nothing more transformative in the Deep South than a Black woman from poverty having opportunity. It hadn't been done before, so I thought I would take advantage of the freedom to try the things no one else tried.
My name is Stacey Abrams, and I'm ready to be the next governor of the great state of Georgia.
We talked to people. We met them at their doors. We met them at their churches, their mosques, their temples, their shrines, their synagogues. I went to Dragon Con and one music fest. I also talked about real issues. I talked about my brother and his fight with drug addiction and incarceration.
There are thousands of Walters throughout the state of Georgia who only get the help they need when they go to prison. I'm running for governor because I don't believe Georgia is just a state of retribution. I want it to be a state of redemption.
but I also had solutions. And I talked about the things that people care about every single day.
Georgia, we need you to show up. 所以会为 Stacey Abrams
para la candidata Stacey Abrams para gobernadora.
We wanted everybody who could vote and to vote for me.
It is in our hands to make Stacey Abrams the next governor of the state of Georgia.
And give it up for your next governor, Stacey Abrams.
Thank you, Georgia. The ballot battle in Georgia's governor's race is over.
Brian Kemp will be certified the winner.
I was very angry. I'm still very angry. Very angry.
Make no mistake, the former Secretary of State was deliberate and intentional in his actions. Pundits and hyper-partisans will hear my words as a rejection of the normal order. You see, I'm supposed to say nice things and accept my fate. They will complain that I should not use this moment to recap what was done wrong or to demand a remedy. You see, as a leader, I should be stoic in my outrage and silent in my rebuke. But stoicism is a luxury, and silence is a weapon for those who would quiet the voices of the people. And I will not concede because the erosion of our democracy is not right.
My responsibility as the daughter of Robert and Carolyn Abrams, as the granddaughter of people who had been denied the right to vote, as the great-granddaughter of slaves, my job was to use this election to talk about the system that let this be. And so we decided on that night that we were going to demand that the system itself be fixed. Because when you concede, what you're saying is that the system worked the way it was supposed to. And I refuse to believe that a system that is supposed to protect our democracy worked the way it was supposed to. In 2020 and beyond, the way we fight voter suppression is by meeting it where it is. That means, first and foremost, volunteer to help people get registered to vote.
Hi, Nina Durham. My name is Stacey Abrams. I wanted to thank you for all the work you're doing to reach out to voters and making sure they stay on the rolls.
If you believe in one person, one vote, if you believe in representative government, then you will fight for this democracy.
Our power is in our vote. Our power is in our voice. And if we willingly choose to remain silent, we give up that power.
Plan out what you are going to do to make sure your ballot is cast and counted. And then ask your friends and family whether they have a plan.
Even if you've done everything right, do not assume you're registered.
Check to make sure that you haven't been purged or that your polling place has moved.
Vote as early as possible. Take your friends with you to the polls.
Talk to your neighbors about voting.
Call your parents and ask them if they voted. Call your grandparents.
To make sure that people know what precinct they're in, where their polling location is.
And then you turn up at the polls. And you don't leave until you cast your ballot.
They told voters to anticipate long lines. Is 2.5 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, is that reasonable though in your mind, David?
It's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. Folks die for this right that I'm going, so I would never take advantage of it, so I'm here for the long haul.
It's a life and death matter. It really is.
It's not going to be the courts that save us. It's not going to be the justices in their robes. It's got to be the people.
If you were to come out to vote, we could elect who we wanted to, we could get done what we wanted to, and we could make sure that our voice was heard.
The fight for voting rights needs to be a defining civil rights issue today.
The desire to keep certain people away from the polls, it's a reality that we have to be prepared to confront. And unless we confront that reality and base actions on that reality, we won't make the progress that we all want to make in this country.
I believe in our democracy. I believe in our nation. And I think our strongest patriotism is a patriotism that says that every voice matters and that every vote counts and that we will do everything in our power to make it so.
Let's stop thinking that our voice don't matter and vote. Educate yourself and know who you're voting for. Because it's a lot of us. It's a lot of us. It's a lot of us.